Hey, what's up and welcome to Logged In. I'm Sheila Matthews and I'll be driving the boat this week because Domonique has some old man things to take care of. So we'll be navigating through the social media streets and it's been a very big week. With me in the chair and Martenzie joining me. What's up, Martenzie?
Nice to finally meet you in person, Sheila. It's been a long time over Zoom.
Yes, pandemic coworkers. But I know how great you are. You gotta tell the people at home too exactly what you do and, brag on yourself. It's your time to shine.
Oh, for sure. I'm a sports writer for Andscape, so work with the wonderful Sheila here, originally from Milwaukee. And against common belief, there are black people in Milwaukee, there are black people in Wisconsin, and I'm one of, 10 people, so.
Yep, population, Martenzie and family. We love to see it. Successful black man doing great things. And it's a few things this week that we don't love to see. And we're gonna start off with 3 of them. Irv Gotti, still not over Ashanti after 20 years. People doing crazy things for clout, and whenever Blueface is trending, it's not good.
Yeah, so the CEO of Murder, Inc. went on the Drink Champs podcast and, surprise to me, admitted to a relationship with Ashanti that I did not know even existed. But he explained that maybe he's not quite over it and that he learned about Ashanti dating Nelly from watching NBA League Pass, apparently.
But he's married. He has a wife. That's a thing,
He seems more hurt about losing someone he wasn't married to losing his eventual wife.
But see, that's how it always goes. Tasha, have some sympathy, I just lost the love of my life. That's what Irv Gotti is giving me, big ghost vibes.
Yeah.
But it's just sir, Irv, aren't you holding up her masters too in some ways?
Yeah, so it brings into that conversation about boss-employee relationships where Ashanti claims her masters are being withheld, which is why she has to re-record her album. And maybe, and I'm not saying he did, but maybe he did that because he was in love with someone who wasn't in love with him.
Sounds like Murder Inc. needs some compliance trainings over on that side of the house. Woo! Because in the music industry, the topic of owning and buying back masters has been something we've seen people do more and more recently. We've seen Ashanti re-record her music, Big Sean bought back his masters, and even Taylor Swift had to re-record her albums. But now we found out some interesting information about Miss Khalees not owning her masters, and she's coming for the queen over it.
Now, I normally advise people to not come at the queen, especially don't miss when you come at the queen. Okay. But in this instance, she might have a reason to. So Khalees, once Beyonce's Renaissance album came out, there's a song in there called Energy. It apparently has a segment of Milkshake in it. And Khalees is upset about it. She called it theft. And she said she's not only directing her anger at Beyonce, but it's mostly at the Neptunes particularly.
And that's very fair. But to your point, that's Pharrell, that's Neptune. She's expressed multiple times that she's felt slighted by Pharrell. But to call Beyonce a Satan worshiper?
I wouldn't go that far, but also my art wasn't taken away from me. So there's maybe a legitimate claim, but also again, if there's maybe 2 people you don't want to go at, one is Beyonce and the other is probably Barack Obama. So just leave that alone.
And if you ask her ex-husband, it's also Jay-Z. So here we are. They keep it in the family here. The beefs over there, they stay tight. So Beyonce's producers have been busy because they also recently removed the Khalees sample and now she's removing an ableist slur from her song Heated, which Drake helped write.
Yeah, so in her song Heated, Beyonce's song Heated off of Renaissance, she also used the word spaz, which Lizzo used as well, which is short for spastic, which is the medical condition. And those who live with that condition are upset by this use, and so they would prefer that people not use it in that form. Now, it does bring to mind 2 different things. One, certain people use that word without knowing the actual context of it, and they don't mean any offense by it. But also you have on the other side people who do live with the condition who are offended by it. So I think we can have a topical conversation about it. It doesn't have to be one way or the other.
For sure. I always grew up, my mama always was like, don't use words you don't know the definition to. Especially when I was growing up, it was unfortunately a playground word.
Right.
I just really didn't know the meaning or context behind it. But I'm just really happy that now people are listening, being progressive, evolving, and understanding that words can be hurtful.
Right. Like a certain DC comedian, he could learn,
Ooh, the one who refuses to evolve,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of people who want some evolution, Monica Lewinsky, she's also coming at the queen.
Yeah, so she would like her name removed from Partition, which came out in 2013. And let me just say something. Sheila, I don't know if you were alive when this happened, but I was but a child when Monica Lewinsky was a thing. And let me just say for the record, because I've never been on TV to say it, it's pretty disgusting that she kept that on her dress.
It is, and I think You told your story, girl. You put it, you know.
I don't know what's more offensive, mentioning it or actually doing it. I don't know.
Well, she thinks Beyonce putting into partition is the most offensive of them all. So is the queen gonna listen? I don't know. Is she trying to promote something else too?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really glad that Beyonce listened to her fans and is taking action to fix things that she didn't even know was offensive. But in this next story, maybe her community should have told her this wasn't such a great idea. A 24-year-old graduate from FAMU is having her 15 or maybe 30 minutes of fame right now, as she's been trending all week because of her graduation photos. Instagram user Terica Starr is a recent graduate from FAM and has been in the news all week because she took naked graduation photos on campus in front of the Bronze Riddler. Yikes.
Yikes, but she did say it was about body positivity, which we're all for here. That being said, it comes down to a taste thing, whether you're for nudity or public nudity in this matter, or you're not. And the FAMU community appears to not be, but I will say maybe temper your anger a little bit, FAMU, because I read the student newspaper at FAMU and they are all up in arms and say, this is a disgrace to the university. I don't know, maybe there's some other things that FAMU will be, they will be considered disgraceful more than this. So, let's just cool a little bit. It was nudity, let's get over it.
I agree. I'm an HBCU graduate, shout out to Bowie State. But I do believe it's a time and a place. All for body positivity. Girl, love yourself, do your thing. But I just don't know if the place was campus. The place could have been a studio. I don't know. But in front of the Rattler, you do anything for clout, right? You do anything for clout.
Don't lose that master's degree though over clout. That's not worth it.
When the investigation is over, we'll see what the result is. And speaking of clout, Will Smith. I never thought I'd be using those two things in a sentence, but he breaks his silence again to talk about the Chris Rock slap. Do we still care? Did we care when it happened?
No. People get slapped every day, so it's no new occurrence that Chris Rock got slapped, right? But, Will Smith sat in the studio like this and he did his Will Smith thing. I love my Will Smith impression. He talks with his hands and he uses big words to convey it as if he's saying something impactful, but he's not really saying anything. He's just apologizing for what he's already apologized for. Let's just move on. It's just a slap. I
mean, he could have texted Chris. I'm sure he has his number. He could have called him, and I think Chris has moved on. According to sources close to him, Chris is kind of over it. He's making jokes. He's not really affected by it anymore, and he just said he's just ready to have a conversation and be done, but, Will keeps having a conversation with himself in a studio of cameras. Well, speaking of red flags, because that's some huge ones in that relationship, it's the 10-year anniversary of Tinder next month, or I like to call it the red flag app. So were you around in the age of internet dating apps, Tinder, all that?
Yeah, so Tinder came out in September 2012. I began dating my now wife in October 2012. So I never got to use Tinder. I have no idea what the app looks like. I have no idea what the user experience is like on that app. So I've only been watching from afar of how people use this app. And I have to say, I'm quite glad that I never had to use it.
Yeah, I mean, you were lucky to get out while you could. You had like the 7-day free trial there. Unfortunately for me, it's been a little longer. I don't like the dating apps. I just feel like, why are you taking a picture like that? Why are you sitting there with 5 beers and a fish? That's weird.
Why do you have that fedora on?
So where did you used to meet people before internet dating happened?
I met them in school. So again, the idea of meeting people out in the public, out in the world, I have no idea what that's like. I've been out the game for over 10 years, so I have no idea how to meet someone at a bar, at church, perhaps.
You don't want the ones at church, but I heard they got new batches. They all there looking for mates. It's TikToks about that. We might drop a couple in here. So speaking of TikToks, we're curious about your best and honestly worst Tinder and dating app stories. So go ahead and send us a TikTok or a short video, or even leave your story in the comments, and you might be featured on the next episode of Logged In. So before we go any deeper into the show, we have to take a moment to acknowledge the insurmountable loss of Nichelle Nichols and Bill Russell, 2 trailblazers in the Black community in sports, television, and social justice. We have 2 pieces up now on Andscape.com, which you can find the links to in the bio, acknowledging the contributions they made and remembering their legacy. So this week, we're gonna introduce a new segment. It's called Put Me On. It's a time where we talk about things that are the most hyped, or something that we just think is the most hyped, like food, music, sports, things like that. So Martenzie, put me on. What's happening in your world?
I have a television show called The Bear. It airs on Hulu, part of the Disney family. It's about a fictional restaurant in Chicago, and it gives you kind of a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to work in a kitchen. It's great. It has the lip from Shameless in it.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah, it has an amazing cast. It's just a great show. And then in the 7th episode, it has a long shot, which is no takes or anything like that. It's like a 15-minute shot. It's probably one of the most amazing scenes in the entire show, so I highly recommend it.
And something I think you should check out is Steve Lacy's new album. Like, do you know who Steve Lacy is?
I do, The Internet.
Yes, and like, I'm so sad they haven't made music. But if Sid keeps making that music, if Steve Lacy keeps making this music, I think we'll be okay. Because Gemini writes his new album, mind blowing. Moving on to our TikTok of the week, because you know we gotta close the show out right. Martenzie, today the TikTok of the week is courtesy of you.
Yeah, I'm an avid member of Parent Talk or Parent TikTok. So anything that involves babies or dads or moms, I'm all for that. So this is why I chose this one.
How adorable.
That's me every night, by the way. Always being commanded to give him more food.
Oh, what a good break to take, Martenzie. Thanks for joining me on an episode of Logged In this week. I had a blast.
No, I did too. And Foxworth, don't come back. This is my chair now.
Oh, Domonique. Well, when the people want to find you on socials, like I said, you're hilarious. Give the people your handles.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Martenzie J, and on Twitter, it is 10Z Johnson, Tenzie Johnson.
And you can find me on Instagram at toldby.she and on Twitter at toldbyshe. And as usual, be sure to follow Andscape on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Andscape. And be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. And search the rest of our shows in the playlist titled Logged In to see more of us. Bye, guys.